Okay, since every person ever has more than likely played this game already, I'm not going to be going over every single detail ever, or at least try not to, since I do love over-explaining, as per usual. So it's best to start off with the beginning. My first death.
First time.
Which happened because I stupidly decided to give the Tree Sentinel a go right off the bat, even though I remember very well that that's a terrible idea. But there we go. You know, I'm kind of happy it was him who lost my death virginity in this game. From there, I purposefully avoided going to the actual correct story area as much as possible. And from doing that, it allowed me to cover some of the earlier areas. Which was a good thing in the long run, like the nearby catacombs. Gotta say, as a person who's kind of experiencing these for the first time, screw the fang dibs. The amount of times they ended up killing me on this first go, and for some odd reason fire as well, was a bit miserable, but kind of really rewarding once you got through it all. The good thing with these catacombs though are the bosses, which were a real challenge, really good at building up some of my debts, but in the end I was able to prevail and get those runes to level up. Which got me thinking, maybe I can get through these areas faster than I thought. Nope, and nope. Somehow, I also ended up circling all the way back to the Tree Sentinel again, thinking that I could fight him. Nope. Not there yet. I will say this though, I didn't appreciate the round table the first time around as much as I should have in the beginning of this playthrough. Knowing what I know now after finishing the game, it's nice seeing it looking normal. I did also try my best to interact with everyone as much as I could, including the Cuddlebug Fia. It feels weird watching them do this. And overall, I really enjoyed the world building that this place was finally giving me, and not just, you know, Melina every so often lore dumping on me inside of a church. Speaking of progress, I manifested my way into the castle, where I finally, after all this time of course, met a story boss, which I might have confused with a different boss and assumed that this was going to be the most difficult challenge yet. I got him after 2 deaths. I mean, yeah, I'm going to use summons, but man, this was like a really easy fight and a surprisingly big high for me. It was confidence that I might have surprisingly needed, but I don't know if it was a really good thing though, considering what is actually coming up for me. Now, of course, I wasn't at the castle officially, because the actual one was miserable hell, for my inexperienced ass at least. There was deaths after deaths after deaths. I didn't even fully get in, and it got so bad that I just decided to leave the place after I reached 36 deaths, just so I don't hit the big 50 here. And you know what? This, in my opinion, is such a good play. At least, I think anyway. Each time that I was getting destroyed too much, I just went somewhere else, built up runes, leveled up, and then came back. This time around, I went to the south, where, yeah, I died a lot, but I got a staff, which let me use magic now as a samurai. Magic samurai. Yep, doesn't sound right at all. Also, remember all the stuff I just said about moving on from a location and trying to re-level up? Yeah, I ran into my first Erdtree avatar here, and I kind of just let him beat my ass over and over and over and over and over again, instead of going somewhere else to level up to come back. So much so that unfortunately I did hit the big 50 deaths, and that felt like a bit too much. So finally, on my 52nd life, I got him. You had that coming, man. From here, I found the prank chest that just teleported me all the way to Lanedell, where the giant is at. Yeah. Nope. Not yet, anyway. From there, I found the castle with this pile of Miss Begathon, who handed me my ass a good few times over and over and over. So much so that I decided to go re-explore the overall area around the place, which got me even more deaths, but at least some levels. After returning, I decided to just die over and over and over and over again. But fine, I ate up my ego and just snuck past them, which I do believe is the correct thing to do, since the big boy Leon and Miss Begathon was here, who wasn't too big of a challenge for me and my wolf pack at least. All of this gave me a good boost of confidence, which meant I think it's time that the Tree Sentinel maybe will be a good foe. And guess what? He was. He kind of almost stood no chance against me, but who cares? We got him. From there, I found my way down to Shifra River, I hope I pronounced it correctly, which I spent way too much time at trying to figure out what I was meant to do here. I saw like this whole top area, which I spent, I think, countless hours trying to get on top of, also stuff that needed fire, enemies that were destroying me, and overall this was an awful combination with how stubborn I am to try to figure out everything all on my own before I completely give up. I didn't realize that there was actually a very easy boss fight that I could do here, which unfortunately will come at a later time in this journey. But after this, it was time for Caelid, which has to probably be my least favorite area in the entire game, which I know is kind of ironic since I feel like it's meant to be this way, but overall it's just meh. I guess the positive is, but that's not coming for another little while. Okay, after spending a good bit of time here, getting some new items like the Flask of Wondrous Physic, fighting my first summon which gave me almost a heart attack while playing, and even fighting another Erdtree, he was too strong, so I've reached my new match, which is the point where I go somewhere else because I cannot defeat them. I am way too close to 100. Oh, I reached 100 deaths. Because of this actually bloody finger guy who was an extreme pain in my ass, and because I died with a lot of runes, I just kept on fighting him over and over until I finally got him. Why the hell was he so tough? From there I ran into Patches, who I have now learned is a reoccurring character in the Souls games in one shape or form. I let him live though, and he was unnecessarily challenging for some odd reason. Well, it's been at least 10-ish hours since I've done anything with the Stormveil castle, so I decided I'm gonna go in and try to get through it to find him, the boss that I confused for Margit all that time ago, which is a bit embarrassing. He actually traumatized me in my first playthrough that I played the game. I ended up dying to him repeatedly over and over, but it was time for a rematch, and a good one at that. What is that? I don't know what that is. No, stop, dodge, slash, dodge, attempt to dodge, yoink. No, dodge, stop with those attacks. I screwed up. I'm dead. And right after finishing this, I had this moment of like, I think I can finish this game this weekend. I proceeded to not finish it for another 3 weeks. Honestly, the main reason I didn't actually finish it too fast is because I wanted to explore as much as I could. I tried to find every nook and cranny and try my best to get engulfed in the world as best as I could, just because I feel like that's the right thing to do. Back in my first playthrough, I really disliked the misdirection, the guidelessness of this game, but man, I kind of have only good things to remember from this playthrough. Stumbling upon things by myself and learning as I go was just awesome and super rewarding. And this area was just an eye-opener and a great way to appreciate how beautiful this game is. The lighting is just nuts, the detail is insane, and I had multiple moments where I just stood there and admired. Anyway, along my journey at the Liurnia of Lakes, I found one of my favorite characters, Iggy. Look at him. He's so sophisticated and can upgrade your weapons. This was just such a fun character to retrace and remember again, since I do slightly remember him from the first time that I played through the game. After meeting him, I made my way into the Manor Palace and ran into the big hands that actually give me the shivers every single time I had to fight them and still have to fight them. From Software, you somehow made hands absolutely terrifying. Doesn't help this area overall is creepy as well, but from them being small and big and potentially even one-shot me, crazy impressive that hands can translate so well into feeling like spiders. And I don't even have arachnophobia. Another terrifying thing about this area is Loretta to me, who for some odd reason was one of, if not the most difficult interactions I've had with a boss at this time. I got destroyed by her repeatedly, to the point of completely giving up and deciding that it's time to figure out a way in through that big blue door, since that might be a place that I thought I could level up maybe a tiny bit more. On the way to figuring it out, I found another catacomb, which I've tried to chip away at as many as I could of these places, but this one was a bit more special, since it gave me an imp helmet, and I somehow have now become Shrek. Like, look at this angle. How does that now look like Shrek? I kind of love it. Kind of also ended up on the ground again, this time a good bit further from the Shifra place, and now with these giant ants. Felt a bit strange to just find ants that are just big and nothing else unique to them. You know, in this huge, immensely creative world and all. Anywho, here is where I got to find my first Dragon soldier, who skyrocketed my deaths all the way from 176 to 193. I am way too close to 200, and still yet to fight any kind of story boss. Overall, he was a bit tough. My summons weren't really providing as much help as I had hoped, but as every boss up until now, do it enough times and you will just get it at some point. Also, this is my first time I got an official trophy, which meant this is the first boss in this entire playthrough, like 20 hours almost in. I defeated a new boss. And you know what? I won't lie. I am a bit proud of myself with this next one, since I finally found a way into the academy. All on my own. No cheating by looking it up, probably why I was fighting huge ants. But I found the Glintstone Dragon Smaragd and, well, the key itself, and got it all on my own. No guides were used at this point. This was such a big goal of mine, to try my best to get immersed as much as I could, even if it took me forever. At the academy, I reached my 200th death, which was no surprise. I really enjoyed my pointless adventures around this place, like climbing across rooftops and dying in areas that were super far away from any site of grace. And then when I died, I had to retrace my steps across the rooftops over and over and hope that I either don't fall or die again. You know, I have some pretty bad vertigo in real life that I'm pretty sure translates to games where I have this sudden feeling of cold and warmth whenever I either jump off of places or stand on top of them, and just have this fear of, I might fall to my death right now. Does anyone else have that feeling? Or is that just like a me thing? Just felt like bringing it up, just so I don't feel like I'm in the minority. I was stuck here for a while, since I didn't really know where the boss of this place was, until I realized that there's a bridge that I just completely avoided. And of course, I got pranked by the big ass ball that falls down. Speaking of pranks, I found Carrion. Funny enough, I'm actually wearing his armor, but that's not the prank. No. The prank is how stupid difficult he was for some odd reason for me to defeat. Not to mention the long ass trek back to him every single time and having to avoid that ball. Why did I die 12 times to him? Well, I guess his shield attack was way too powerful for me, because whenever I hit him, he could instantly parry it and one-shot me. And yes, after pouring hundreds of hours into this game by now, I know my vigor was too low. But I didn't know that at the time, and I was stubborn and just refought him, which was bad, because this was my first time in all these hours where I raged. I try not to get angry at this game, which I'm impressed with myself for, since I never really got angry, just sad. Really sad. What made me even more upset was Renala, who wasn't too tough for me personally, but man did she get me a good few times. Sometimes when I was way too close. Secret was upgrading my katana, and also finally using one of my favorite summons in the game. Who may I introduce you to? Joe. I love Joe. He is my favorite summon in the entire game, and I got him from, oh god, where did I get him from? Yes, of course, from the Grave Warden Duelist in the Muckwater Catacombs. Who? Joe is a beast, and will be essentially player number 2 for most of these fights, because without him, I wouldn't have made it through the game. And all I have to say to you is, it's in the game, why would I use it? And also, look at him, it's Joe, my boy. Well, anywho, since I got Renala, I figured it was time to go get, well, Joe is incredible. We got the bitch. Being able to do that at last, I met with Ranni the Witch. But of course, this was officially my first side story that I really tried to figure out on my own, but that was easier said than done. So I had to look it up, and I got pretty far into the story on my own until I somehow ended up wanting to free Selen, who I did meet before. And yes, I figured out this all on my own, but what I couldn't figure out was how to free her. Oh, no, not yet. No, please no. First, I have to prepare. So I explored a lot and died a lot. Worst part of exploring? Running into Godskin Apostle. More on him later. Apart from that, I fought more Earth Tree avatars, dragons, died a whole bunch more, jumping up to 286 deaths, but also getting some story bosses, I assume, since I finally am getting more trophies for them. And overall, I just did a lot of different side stuff that let me get new gear and a lot of runes to level up and really prepare for. In this new area, I hit 300 deaths, which was appropriately reached by the Godfrey rematch. You might be getting me this time, buddy, but soon I'll be powerful enough to defeat you again. Also, these 2 tree sentinels that are like on top of this area, yeah, I was super stubborn and just fought them until, they died. I don't know why, but since I got the first one back at the beginning, I was sure I could get these guys. There was a lot of talking to myself, a lot of motivation that had to go into it, but hey, if you die enough, you'll get them at some stage. From there, I ran into the windmill village, which gave me the heebie-jeebies. Rightfully so, but I got to fight a very easy version of Mr. Foreskin, which was really nice and gave me some hope. And I am now at the Volcano Manor. I know, big jump, but here we are. It wasn't easy getting here, so I really hoped that this place was going to be worth it. I did decide to join the supposed family, but it felt weird doing the quest of killing, other tarnished, so I just kind of let it sit there the entire game. And it took me about 5-ish hours to find out that there is a secret passage here that led me out to a lava town. Man, I swear, the amount of times I get distracted in this game and it turns into a wild side quest of sorts is crazy impressive. I mean, it took me hours to find this area because I was distracted by stuff around the manor itself. There's just way too much to do in this game. Now, was this a good thing to happen to me? Maybe. Hard to say. Why, you ask? Well, you see, this fat ass is a pain in my ass. Genuinely. This was the official most difficult boss I have fought up until this point in this game, which is insane to say. Like, genuinely. That's the sad truth. You know, the way some people might say, oh, this actual difficult boss is the most challenging experience I've ever had in Elden Ring. Well, for me, it's a tad bit different. Since instead, it's these guys, the Foreskin Bros. I absolutely hate, despise, resent, curse, whatever other words that I could potentially think of in this moment, I would say. I hate these damn bastards. They ended up haunting me over and over and over, and each time I grew to hate them more. No matter how much time I've spent fighting them, no matter how many times I tried to be patient, they kept killing me, and that made me go insane each and every time. Well, apart from the earlier version of Mr. Foreskin, he wasn't too tough. But man, even after finishing the game, I hate these guys so much, and I'm not just doing it for the video, like at all. I truly despise these bastards. These are words that are coming from my heart. I hate them. I died about 18 times and then decided to, instead of putting up with him any further, I went off and did, yeah, it's time for him. And why have I been hyping him up this much for this video? Well, he traumatized me back in my first playthrough. So much so that I was terrified going into it this time. But it was time to man up and just see how far I can get. I got him in my first go. Wasn't expecting it to be that easy, but I'll take it. And yes, I know I get to refight him in the DLC. It was impossible to avoid anything about that boss fight back when the DLC came out. So at least I have that traumatic event to aspire to. Awesome thing that came from this, of course, is the fact that I can continue Ranni's quest finally. And I kind of forgot about Selin, so she just stayed trapped for forever essentially. Down in the Nokron City though, I got to fight a mimic, which was really easy to cheese.
Did I say that correctly? That's what I've seen all the cool kids saying on guides and stuff. To cheese the bosses.
Anyway, I just made him use bad weapons. And then of course, Joe was just incredible in the fight. I did make a bit of a mistake while I was down here, because I ended up finding the most obvious boss fight arena, which was with the gargoyle duo. Stupid fight. Screw you From Software for cooking this one up. The bad thing with this is I was convinced that this was in fact the path I was meant to take for Ranni. So after dying numerous times, I gave up and left the area, not realizing that there is a completely different path I was meant to take. Well, I won't be back here for another 20-ish hours. So since I wasn't heading back to the fat ass anytime soon, I re-explored Caelid, which was painful in some areas, but then also funny in others. What? What? 80,000 runes for that as well. Hey, I'm not complaining. Gotta level up that dexterity. Feels wrong, but I'll take the runes, thank you very much. From here, I decided to finally look up what the great rooms themselves are actually used for. This whole time, I just ignored them. So then I went on a longest journey to try to get them and get their abilities, and from here, I found the Draconic Tree Sentinel. Quite the jump, huh? I gotta say, truly destroyed me a lot. Going from 396 deaths all the way to 433. Yes, I hit the 400 mark. Getting a bit too hot around here. This was a rough patch for me in this game. There was a lot of dying and not a lot of leveling up since I was dying with the runes that I might have collected. I really started to lose a bit of hope and just started wasting a lot of time unnecessarily. Anywhere I went, I just died. And it started to make the gameplay feel really difficult to keep up with and going. I got really unmotivated as well and was genuinely on the verge of giving up. At least for a little while, until I defeated the Draconic Tree Sentinel. After failing exactly 40 times to him, I prevailed and got him, which was just awesome. Finally, after all these hours, I made it into the royal capital. Pretty big part of the game to get to right now. Something funny I found here was this weird drop where somehow there was a bunch of people that just fell down. Some looked like they did it purposefully. And also, I gotta say, this place is beautiful. Even though it looks insane, it's not for the faint of heart like me. Now, I don't really know what or why this is how my note-taking went, but somehow from this area I found that I can level up Joe, which was actually a game changer, since I had no idea that I could do that, like, at all. And it's funny because I was actually very close to reloading up at least the round table one more time, and Roderica giving me the last, interaction with her to give me the upgrade section. I loaded Joe up with some runes and ghost flowers, and I decided there wasn't any better target to test his new OPness on. OPness? Whoa. Strength on. Let me tell you something. Joe might not be max level, but man, do we kick literal ass together. He fought well and with such dedication that even when he died to this bastard, I was able to honor his death because of his brave fight. You will be remembered, Joe. I'm finally free from this boss. For now, of course. But let's ignore that, because holy crap, God-devouring servant boss is just amazing. No joke, this is top 3 bosses for me in the game. Why? Because I get a ridiculously OP weapon that I purposely upgraded, and I get to just destroy him, which was such a fun, creepy, but badass boss fight to defeat. Actually, 10 out of 10. Take all my money, please. Made the foreskin chonker worth it? Yeah, no, that's a lie. Screw him. One thing that does actually make me really sad is that I can't use this cool-ass weapons shooting ability outside of this boss. Well, I guess there's nothing else to do but go back to the royal capital. I had my fun. One cool thing that I did find, and I really like that's in this area, is the round table area. Really strange to see it like this. Apart from that, I just climbed areas and hoped for the best until it worked. A bit too well though. Isn't this like a really important guy? Why is he piss yellow? Thankfully, he wasn't too hard. But of course, me acting all clueless for the purpose of this video and stupid won't last too long, since it was time to go up against the end of the Act 2 boss. Or at least, that's what I like to consider him. King Morgoth, who put up a solid fight, but nothing that determination and actual patience wasn't able to get me through. More so than others, surprisingly. He didn't make me hit 500 deaths though, halfway point, but I'm not too worried for myself, even though I have a whole bunch of bosses to get through still, I believe. Maybe I don't. I just spent around 3 hours trying to get around the mountaintops. That might have included around maybe a half an hour or maybe to an hour of trying to figure out the most confusing maze of a catacomb I've ever experienced. Then a dragon in a huge ice lake who I definitely could get, but it was taking me forever to try to defeat him since he kept on running away from me, and I messed up every single time he was super close to dying. And then the worst cave ever, because it had him. I can't take this. I proceeded to die around 20 times, and then when I finally beat him, his big brother appeared. Oh, I just spent so much time. Oh my God. I just spent so much time trying to defeat that version, and then he shows up. This whole area broke me. This was not good. Not the kind of me I want to see with this game. So I decided to leave it for now. Well, I went and tried to find a new area to level up. Since I did everything that I could think of that would give me enough runes to go to a site of grace and level up, I decided to look up what I could do next. And according to Google, Vare's quest was the one to go for, which of course unlocks Mogwin's palace, and this is very much not a good next area to be at. I'm assuming the only reason Google decided to tell me this was because, of course, this is a rune farming spot that I did incorrectly for the longest time, until I received some extra help. Please, help. What? What? Okay.
Yo,
Help.
sure. Let's have a look.
Meet Jared, my new guide. At least briefly. A guide that helped me with one thing that I am ashamed to admit I have been doing this whole time.
Which some of you might have already noticed, but I have sadly been heavy rolling. To say is a game changer now that I know of this is beyond of an understatement. The fact that I had no idea about this is really embarrassing, but all I have to say is thank you to Jared, because he helped me so much with this tip. Even if it is slightly cheating, I don't care. It was so good.
Also, he made me try mode, which was just a terrible idea. So I decided I'll go back to him at a different time, and instead just try to make this new role ability work in my favor, like taking on Okina to get the best katana there is. At least my favorite new weapon. Yes, I know every person ever uses it, but I can understand why. It's so much fun. Speaking of fun, the fire giant was actually such an enjoyable fight. Even though he made me rethink some life choices at times, I can't really complain. It was gruesome and just badass. And also, I know you're better off not using your horse here, and maybe you would have made the fight better, but I love my horse and I loved using him for this fight and made it so much more manageable and not getting rolled over every time. From there, of course, Melina and I committed cardinal sin, which is just insane looking and crazy, but this also meant it was time for this place, where I instantly died and fell to my death. I can tell you the truth as to why this happened, or you can believe that I'm really bad at the game. Truth is, I have really bad drift in my left analog stick. Great start anyway. I'm getting a bit too close to my 600 deaths. 400 left. Well, wasting no time, I did decide to investigate what I could actually do to make myself more capable in taking out some of the guys here. One was getting my arcane high enough so that I would be able to use the cool katana that I just got, which I was able to do by putting on the mimic mask I got forever ago. This is what I'm gonna be looking like for the rest of the game. It looks pretty cool though. This was until I found out what I was grinding my ass off in this area to get to. You can already guess how I felt about this moment. From going through all those fights with these guys that I have yet to win, to just having to fight both of them at the same time, this was an insane new discovery. One that I may say I knew existed because I spoiled it by accident for myself, but never would have guessed it's actually for main story progression. I just assumed this was something that I can find. I was devastated. Like genuinely. I was so freaking sad and hopeless, I felt like I had to go and do something else. To level up and prepare as best as I can for them. Just to fight them at some point maybe. So I went back and started with leveling up Joe to try and turn him into an actual monster this time around. He helped me with Big Mr. Foreskin, he might help me with this as well. With this came some discoveries of some new areas that I completely missed before, and a new round table. I like that it changes with the fact that the earth tree is burning. Also, while I was here, I learned from Gideon that there's only 4 main story bosses left, including Mog, so it gave me a good goal to work towards, especially with these deaths. You know, I really like him. I hope I don't ever have to fight him. Also, I might have finally figured out the correct path to Nokron City. Not my proudest moment, like at all. But at least we got here. Also, yes, I did find a mimic here while I was here, and no, I will not be replacing you, Joe. At least for now. I gotta say, this Lake of Rot was the biggest time waste I've had in the game so far. Not only did I die a good few times, just having to wait until the rot goes away. Yeah, I know there's stuff that can make it easier, but I didn't have it on me. And I didn't even fight the main boss while I was here this time around, because I assumed that the Dragonkin soldier was the boss itself. So instead, with Joe really upgraded, and I myself also pumped up with a good few runes, I decided to go off and finally train and learn how to actually defeat them foreskin bastards. First up, the normal apostle. It was actually good to fail a few times, which sounds crazy to say, but it let me learn a few of his moves that will come in handy in the future. Kind of thankful now I wasn't too overpowered to defeat him. Next, the cave duo version. That was truly pain and terrifying when I defeated the fat one and it wasn't ending. But thankfully it was just the little snail that was left behind. Similar to the solo Mr. Foreskin fight, it let me get to know how to deal with them back to back, but unfortunately not all at once. Still really good and surprisingly really helpful for what's about to come. And that was death after death after death. From going to being pretty close to not close at all. I hated that they respawned one after another, making this fight that bit more miserable. It's like the perfect cherry on top of screw yourself player. I'm at death 662 and still unable to defeat them. So I did some research and learned of the sleep arrow method, which I hesitated to use, but it felt like there was just no other way. My mindset was, I don't want to waste all of my power and might into this duo if there might be even more worse pain coming my way. And you know what? I have no regrets at all. If anything, I'm happy I did this and will do this at a heartbeat anytime I have to fight them ever again. Because of this, I am free, finally free from the pain of having to fight these guys ever again. Okay, of course, with being done with the duo, it meant it was time for the next actual official story boss, Malekith, who spooked the absolute crap out of me with the change up. He went from phase 1 to phase 2 and whatever these moves are. Similar to every boss I've fought before, at this moment I decided to, instead of wasting more time on him, which I did already, I should probably go level up and actually get to a comfortable stage where I know I am strong enough to fight him. I somehow ended up here though, which I didn't specifically try to get here, but I knew exactly what this place was and who is here. I was terrified, but I pushed on. Since I've come so far defeating so many bosses, I might as well get her too while I'm at it, to get that full Elden Ring experience. I don't very much like the Elden Ring experience. I died a lot. When they were making this game, they knew they had to make her truly annoying to get to. At least I got a satisfying rematch with Loretta. This time she was a cakewalk, mainly because of Joe. He is kind of stupid broken now. Feels like it is a fight between him and them, and I'm the summon instead. Huh. Past her, I feel like this area can be considered literally no man's land. I feel like my health and level had no business being here right now, but the good old run until you get to a site of grace worked out splendidly. Since I got through, of course, that meant it was time to give Malenia a full go. It was scary, and it felt like this was going to be one tough fight to get through. So I gave up. Don't worry, I tried a lot, but I seem to have way too little vigor for what's recommended with this fight, especially with this move. Like, what the hell is this? I will be back, don't worry. To level up my vigor, I decided to revisit some areas, like the Lake of Rot, and I actually found Astel this time around. What a fight. Actually amazing looking. Tried Mog finally again, and I'll be damned. It took a good few times, but I came way too close to not push through. Like, look at that. I died, and Joe finished him off. If only these counted. Also, I do know that he's part of the DLC, or at least you have to defeat him to get to the DLC. How will I do this? No clue. Guess I'll learn once I get to it. After I dealt with him, I refought the gargoyles, and absolutely demolished them. I needed these wins. Just such a great feeling. Of course, this meant more new areas and levels, and I don't really know what the deep roots were cooking up, but for some odd reason, this coffin overheated my PS5. Is that bad? Should I be concerned? Ignoring whatever that was, I did Fia's quest, which I know now is for a different ending, but that's kind of more like, 100% the game, which I'm not really aiming for as of right now. After I did that, I looked into how to do the Dung Eater stuff, since he was in the round table forever ago, and I just really wanted to figure out what his story was. The thing with this is, there was a summon fight that I had to do with him, and it was kind of unfair, since for some odd reason, this crab just appeared and got him in one hit, which, is cool and all, but man, I really wanted to fight him. And crap, I guess that's kind of all that I wanted to do for now, which I guess means it's only right but to go do Malekith, since that's the story. Yeah. I'm messing the way I'm actually playing the game. I go from one thing to another very fast, but here goes nothing. Oh Well, there's 800 deaths. As I kept on going and dying over and over, there were some things that I tried to improve with this specific boss, and that was trying to use more rune arcs to get, some of the great rune usage in me. I think my personal favorite one has to just be the Godric's Great Rune. Having the abilities increase your stats is like the best option. And in the end, it was actually the thing that allowed me to defeat Malekith, but it came at a cost of a good few deaths. Man, you're getting close to that 1000 mark. What do you mean I have to fight Gideon? Honestly, this was probably the saddest moment of the game. I really liked going to him and just updating him on my new boss discoveries and getting some goodies. But since it was the only way, I had to defeat him. I'll never forget you, Gideon. Around this part of the game, I was also realizing that this is very close to the end, which had me a tiny bit worried, since there was a lot of other bosses I wanted to get around to before I finished the main story. And at the time, I wasn't 100% sure if the game just ends right after. Yes, I know I could have looked it up, but it's also better to defeat everyone before the actual game ends, right? But because my curiosity was killing me, I progressed on for now and met Godfrey, the piss-covered guy before, and also the guy from like all of that art. There's a lot to say about this boss, but also not that much. For one, I died, like a lot, as expected, but also I kind of made a new discovery, at least one that I finally understood better. I have been avoiding using the Mimic Summon this whole time, since it never really survived as long as Joe did. But because this boss was actually really difficult to defeat and made me go from 825 deaths all the way to 859, I got to a point of trying anything new or different just to maybe do a tiny bit better. And oh boy, was I mistaken as to what the Mimic is actually useful for. He became the new target, which let me avoid a lot of Godfrey's really annoying attacks, mainly in his first phase, especially the jumping ones. So when I learned of the Mimic's ability, it really let me get back in the swing of things and defeat him almost completely by accident, since the bleed in my sword did wonders and just finished it. From here, I knew exactly what was coming next. And you know what? I put aside my worry of not finishing side bosses before the final boss, and I went in just to take a peek. If I finish the game, I finished the game. Holy freaking hell. What in the Elden Ring is this first phase? All of my worries of defeating this boss super fast, gone. Why? Because I could barely get through Radagon himself. Then when I did, the Elden Beast was just built like a beast and destroyed me. I was stubborn once again and reattempted it a good few times, each being either worse than the last or just getting stuck with Radagon, who I will say is a menace. His attacks are so quick, and at least for now unpredictable for me. So with my deaths reaching 880, I thought I might as well at least try and do earlier things to hopefully level up just that bit more to be able to defeat these guys. What actually helped was looking at PlayStation trophies, or well, if you want to consider them as achievements. The main reason is because it let me know of the bosses that I'd still left to do, and it just put me on the right track of what I missed, like the Ancestor Spirit, who I was like one fire obelisk off of unlocking, or a different version of Mog, but this time ridiculously easy. And then it was time for the best looking and coolest boss fight in the entire game. Yeah, I said it, this is hands down one of my favorite boss fights, I think in any game ever, and I think that's a pretty big claim to make. But it's basically King Ghidorah, like almost exactly. On top of all of that, it's just such a cool looking boss fight in an incredible looking arena. The lighting is spectacular, the reds, the oranges, the grays, everything just looks so freaking cool. And even though the first time that I went in, I almost defeated him like first go, I then proceeded to fail repeatedly, but I didn't mind because I got to just replay it over and over and over again. Even though it was just another dragon boss fight, I don't know. It just clicked with me. And to think that I almost missed this entirely and it was super secret with like an intro cutscene, this huge ass cool arena, King Ghidorah dragon, red lightning, orange yellow lightning, all I have to say is wow. This now means that I officially have only 2 bosses left, if you want to consider them 2. Malenia and the final duo boss fight. Not the foreskin duo. And you know what? It's actually too perfect. I'm only at 893 deaths. I can so do this. So I started with Malenia. And oh boy, let me tell you something. Mr. Me and I are kind of nasty. So nasty that it almost felt wrong doing this boss fight with the katana I was using and the mimic. Just look at us. We were popping off. The bleed not only destroys her health, but also it staggers her often, which just made this whole fight way too easy. And you know what? I loved it. Being able to just spawn in, have my mimic scratch his ass, and then proceed to demolish her health with me and the weapons we have, this is exactly what I wanted to experience. And I didn't even know it.
I gotta say, being this overpowered is so much fun. And I think this was my wake-up call. All of these 70-ish hours into the game, it finally hit me. This is what I like about this game. Using whatever broken build, whatever broken summon, and just demolishing bosses. The high that I had from defeating Malenia was just so much just like adrenaline that I loved every little bit of it. And I think this is what I want to do in Souls-like games. If I ever go to any other future one, I want to be broken. I want to be overpowered. And even if that's the whole goal, you're supposed to go into the game and you're supposed to level up to be overpowered. I've seen people just doing miserable things that I could never, get along with, like running around and playing the game with your feet. Good job, but that's just not for me. Not yet anyway. I like being powerful.
But what the hell is this fight, man? Just going from defeating the boss I did to this is not it, because oh my goodness, it is a big roadblock. And I can't believe it's with the final boss. But also, in a way, it's nice that the final boss that's meant to end off this incredible journey I've had is a pain in my ass. A bit too much of a pain. Because I really struggled. Malenia got me to 900 deaths, and now I'm at 924 with just those 24-ish attempts on Radagon and the Elden Beast. And this wasn't good, not good at all. I tried using a mimic, I tried using Joe, and it all was just painfully difficult. Similar to before, it was either Radagon destroying me in the beginning or suffering through Radagon and then dying early on with the Elden Beast. But the Elden Beast star-like attack being almost impossible at the time for me to get through, either because it was just a stupid attack to deal with or because it comboed with some of the other annoying ones that it had. I was stuck, like really bad for once. So I began looking into other methods, or at least weapons. Since Bleed, the build I have been running with like the entire game, isn't obviously too effective with this boss. I learned that there are a few weapons I could use, but it was a bit difficult since my levels were not in the areas that I needed to level up, which was unfortunately Faith. A doable option that I found out about was the Magma Blade, which I gotta say, I got way too lucky with it in my first go of trying to farm it, since I got it like on my 5th attempt. After I got it, I did try it out a few times on the boss, and it was a tiny bit easier, but it just didn't feel like I was making good enough progress, and my hopeless new mindset made me think I need a second one. And oh, I wasted so much time by doing this. Like, I think I farmed it for 2 hours, and I even got like the silver scarab. I tried anything to potentially increase my ability to get it, and then thankfully I was actually lucky enough. As much as I might look back on it and being like, wow, I've spent 2 hours farming, 3 hours ish constantly going in and out of this boss fight, rethinking my strategy. This wasn't the worst idea, because for once, every time that I reattempted the boss fight with this dual wield weapons, I was actually making some progress. I think that was the most unmotivating thing before, the fact that every single time I went back into the boss fight, I was always stuck on 50% health on the Elden Beast. Usually with boss fights that I was able to push through and just keep on going even if it was a lot of deaths was because I was always getting better and better. And with this one, that was not the case until these blades. And I don't know if it's because Radagon being in one boss fight and then being super weak for the second phase is ridiculous, or it's just because the Elden Beast does in fact have those stupid attacks and then it runs away from you, and it took me forever to figure out I could even use my horse in here, which is a bit embarrassing. But then at last, finally, after hours and hours and many deaths later, it finally happened. I'm dead. Oh.
Our seed will look back upon us and recall an age
Yes.
of fracture.
No. Not you. Please. I have so many runes right now. I can finally level up, man. Please. I don't wanna fight you. No, back.